Hello everyone, welcome to Module 6. This is our 6th week in our 8-week course of Diversity Healthcare Delivery. I wanted to review with you a few things and for this module, as well as your paper that's coming due at the end of Module 7. But I wanted to remind everyone that because this is an 8-week course, we do sometimes have to combine topics that might not be related, and that really kind of comes into play this week. So we're going to be talking about geographically displaced people, such as migrant workers, and we're going to be talking about those who have a sexual orientation that is different than our own. So our objectives for this week is to discuss the major risks, health risk factors associated with migratory lifestyles in 3 dominant migrant streams. We're going to understand how migrants are vulnerable. We're going to identify and understand who comprises the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, and ally population. We also call this the LGBTQIA. We're going to analyze the distinction between gender identity and sexual orientation. And then finally, we're going to develop strategies to increase competence in working with the LGBTQIA population. So I would like for everyone to read chapters 8 and 9 of their text. There are 2 videos that I would like for you to view. One is specific to the migrant farm workers, and then the other one is specific to the LGBTQIA population. There is a case study that we are going to review, and that's on page 149 of your text. And just like you did in the exercises past, there are some questions to answer. So after you read through the case study, then please answer the 6 questions that you'll find on pages 150 and 151 of your text. And just make sure that when you're answering this, make sure there's like 250 words. We want to make sure that we have robust answers, and make sure you're using complete sentences, proper grammar, all that kind of stuff. This is a written assignment. And then just kind of keep it under the 2 pages. If you go a little bit beyond, that's okay. I know sometimes with the questions, in order to have a fully developed answer in certain questions, that it might run over, and that's okay. Just try to keep it at that 2 pages though. And then finally, we have a discussion board that I would like for everyone to complete. And remember, initial discussion board posts are due on Thursday by 11:59 Central Time, and you must have a scholarly peer-reviewed reference or journal article that supports your post relating to the week's topic. And then you have 2 response posts, which are due 11:59 p.m. Central Time on Sunday. So I wanted to talk a little bit about next week. Let's go into Module 7 real quickly. You have a final paper that is due, and this is your vulnerable population paper. So if you click on week 7, and you can also find this rubric in the syllabus rubrics and assignment schedule, but we'll just go into module 7 because we're going to scroll down here and you'll see the submission site here for that paper. So when we click on the rubric, I'm going to pull that up just for a moment. Okay, and so if you notice, these are basically the guidelines to construct your paper, as well as the grading rubric that I'll be using to grade your assignment. So you can read through the first 2 paragraphs here, and remember, this guy really is the limit when it comes to a vulnerable population. If you have one in mind that may not be listed here, you can always just send me an email or give me a phone call and say, hey, I'd really like to do this population. Do you consider it a vulnerable population? And we can talk about that. The other thing, too, is if you have supporting evidence of the vulnerable population. In other words, you may have identified a group of people and you found in the literature that they do fit the bill for vulnerability, you can just go right ahead and write your paper, because as long as you use that supporting evidence, you are good to go. So make sure that you include articles pertaining to cultural and diversity. They do not necessarily have to be strictly nursing articles. I do open up the research to business journals, for example, when you're talking about perhaps aging populations and the financial or the scams that are happening in the world, unfortunately, today, that really prey on the elderly. So that might be in like a Consumer Reports kind of journal. It might be in like an AARP journal. So I really don't want you to feel like you have to restrain yourself to only using nursing journals. You can really look at things like social work journals, psychological journals. If there's journals that are specific to your population, like, for example, LGBTQIA, you can certainly use those as well. So just make sure that you have a minimum of 5 professional references. And again, these professional references are considered peer-reviewed journal articles, not websites. You can certainly use websites, but make sure that you have at least 5 professional references that come from peer-reviewed journals. I think I even said this in the next sentence. Other references, including websites such as the CDC, Census Bureau, the International Institute, etc., may be used to meet the purpose of the paper, but don't count these as a scholarly article. And please refrain from using Wikipedia. Also, the textbook that we use here does not count as a scholarly reference. The paper should be 5 to 6 pages in length, but this does not include the title page and reference pages. So make sure you have 5 to 6 pages of a body of your paper. So if you have the title page and then you have one reference page, you would need about 7 to 8 pages total, if that makes sense. And then if you read here, these are this is the criteria that I will use in grading your paper. So as long as you're hitting each one of these aspects and you're doing you don't miss anything that's contained within here, you will get those points. Also remember, we do include structure, mechanics, and readability. So make sure that your word choice is appropriate, that your sentences are clear, that you don't have a lot of errors in grammar or punctuation. So if you need another set of eyes to read your paper, you can either have a family friend or a relative, maybe a spouse or partner, read your paper just to get another set of eyes on there. Sometimes it helps in that they can pick up spelling errors or errors in punctuation. Or readability. Sometimes you might write, you might be just really going on an idea and you're writing and writing and writing. It makes sense to you, but sometimes sentences may not make sense to another reader. So that's why it's always a good idea to have another set of eyes read your paper. And then, of course, make sure that you're following APA guidelines with your in-text reference citations as well as your reference page and title page. So all of that is contained within your APA manual. If you're not familiar with how to use the APA manual, you can simply go back to the back of the book and look up reference page, and it'll give you page numbers on how to construct a reference page, title page, etc. So hopefully you find that a little that helpful. You can also, I wanted to share with you one more area, and we have talked about this early in the class, but if you scroll down to BSN program information and you click on that. Now I'm in the Blackboard for McKendree. This is all your list of the classes that you're either currently in or have taken in the past that still pop up. If you go down here into all things APA, There is an example paper, and if you click on the example paper, it will give you a sample of the title page. It's basically an entire paper with bubbles as far as how to construct your title page and your paper using APA format. So I would encourage all of you, if you are uneasy about APA format of a paper, to access this sample paper and look at the bubbles. So you can see how to do an in block or a block quotation. These are quotations that come directly from a reference that have 40 or more words. It shows you how to make a block quote. It shows you what you need to include in the parenthetical in-text reference citation. So it's the author, the year, and the page number where the quote originated. And then it shows you how to construct the reference page. So again, this is found in the BSN program information under all things APA. And I think that pretty much excuse me, covers everything that I wanted to go through for this week. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. If you have not started on your vulnerable population paper yet, you may want to get started this week because it does require a little bit of research. So I would just hate for you to wait till the 11th hour and then struggle to get that turned in on time. So if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to email me or give me a phone call, and I'll talk to all of you soon. Thank you.